The massive windows of the eternal dawn showed nothing but endless stars stretching as far as the eye could see. Supreme Commander Marcus stood with his hands behind his back, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the polished floor of the bridge. His species had ruled these stars for over 1,000 years, and today was supposed to be just another routine patrol of their space that changed. When the sensors started beeping, "Commander, we have an unknown ship approaching," reported First Officer Tom, his fingers moving quickly across the glowing control panel. "It's using a form of propulsion we've never seen before." Marcus turned slowly, his face showing no emotion. "Show me." The main screen lit up with an image of a sleek vessel smaller than the eternal dawn that's somehow elegant in its own way. Its hull gleamed with a metallic sheen that seemed to shift colors as it moved through space. The ship's design was like anything the Council had encountered in centuries of space travel. "They're hailing us," Tom announced, surprise evident in his voice. "The signal, it's perfectly matched to our communication frequencies." Marcus narrowed his eyes. This was impossible. No new species should have been able to decode their complex communication systems so easily. "Open the channel," he ordered, straightening his ceremonial collar. The screen changed to show a human face. The alien was wearing what appeared to be a formal uniform with markings that probably indicated rank. "This is Admiral Reed of the Earth exploration vessel Dauntless. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations with your civilization." Marcus studied the creature speaking to him. It looked so primitive, only 2 eyes, obvious bilateral symmetry, and such fragile-looking skin. How had such beings even managed space travel? "I am Supreme Commander Marcus of the Galactic Council. Flagship Eternal Dawn. Your presence in Council space is unauthorized. Explain how you acquired our communication protocols." Admiral Reed smiled, a gesture that Marcus found unsettling. "We've been studying your civilization for some time, Commander. We believe we have much to offer each other. Our scientists have made several breakthroughs that might interest you, and we're eager to learn from your experience studying us." Marcus's voice carried a dangerous edge. First Officer scanned their vessel. Tom worked his controls, then frowned. "Sir, our scans, they're being reflected somehow. I can't get clear readings." Marcus had heard enough. These creatures had not only invaded Council space, but had also been spying on them. Worse, they had the audacity to block Council scans. Such arrogance from a primitive species could not be tolerated. "Admiral Reed, you will power down your vessels and prepare to be boarded. Your technology will be confiscated, and your crew will be detained for questioning." The human's expression changed subtly. "Commander, I must decline. We came here hoping for peaceful dialogue, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. I suggest we both take a step back and weapons target their engines." Marcus commanded, cutting off the transmission. "These humans need to learn their place in the galaxy." The Eternal Dawn's weapon systems hummed to life. Energy building in its forward arrays. The first shot streaked across space, a brilliant beam of concentrated energy that should have crippled the smaller vessel. Instead, it splashed harmlessly against an invisible barrier around the Dauntless. "Impossible!" Tom shouted. "They have shield technology, but our scans showed nothing." Before Marcus could respond, the human ship began to move. Its movements were unlike anything they had seen before. Quick, unpredictable, almost organic in nature. The Dauntless turned with impossible grace and accelerated away from the Eternal Dawn at speeds that shouldn't have been achievable with any known engine design. "Sir," Tom's voice was quiet now, "they're gone. They just vanished from our sensors." Marcus stood in silence, staring at the empty space where the human ship had been. Something cold settled in his stomach. Not fear, surely, but perhaps the first inklings of doubt. These humans had shields that could withstand Council weapons, engines that defied known physics, and cloaking technology that shouldn't exist, and now they had proof that the Council would respond to peaceful overtures with violence. Marcus turned away from the window, his mind racing. "Send word to all Council worlds. We may have made a grave mistake." He paused at the door of the bridge, and Tom began analyzing everything we recorded. About their ship, everything, the stars continued their eternal dance outside the window, but somehow they seemed a little less friendly now. Somewhere out there the humans were watching and planning. 3 days had passed since the encounter with the human vessel, and Supreme Commander Marcus hadn't slept well since he sat in his private chamber aboard the Eternal Dawn, reviewing the latest reports from across Council space. Each one made his blood run colder, sir. His communication panel chimed. We have an urgent message from Outpost 7. Marcus pressed a button, and another council officer appeared on his screen. The officer's face showed barely controlled. Panic, Commander. We've detected human ships in our sector. Not one, but 3 of them. They appeared out of nowhere, just like the first one. Before Marcus could respond, another alert sounded, then another, and another. Within minutes, his screen was filled with reports from different outposts across Council space. Human ships had appeared simultaneously at multiple locations, each one demonstrating the same impossible technology that witnessed days ago. How Marcus whispered to himself. He pulled up the original scan data from their encounter with the Dauntless. The Council scientists had been studying it nonstop, but they still couldn't explain how such a primitive species had developed such advanced technology. The door to his chamber slid open, and First Officer Tom rushed in holding a data tablet. Sir, you need to see this. We've been going through our long-range sensor logs from the past 6 months. The humans, they've been watching us all along. The tablet showed dozens of tiny anomalies in their sensor readings, small distortions that their systems had dismissed as background noise. But when viewed together, they'd formed a pattern. The humans had placed cloaked observation posts throughout Council space, studying their technology, learning their patterns. They let us see them, Tom said quietly. The Dauntless wasn't their first ship. It was just the first one they allowed us to detect. A new alert flashed on Marcus's screen. This time it was from one of their most secure military installations. The humans had somehow copied their quantum communication protocols technology that had taken the Council centuries to develop. They were now using it to send messages across Council space, instantly coordinating their ships with perfect precision, sir. Tom looked at his commander with worried eyes. What do we do? Our weapons can't penetrate their shields. We can't track their ships. And now they're using our own communication systems against us. Marcus stood and walked to his window, watching the stars. The Council had always believed they were the most advanced civilization in this part of the galaxy. Their technology was the result of thousands of years of development. Their military doctrine was considered perfect, unchangeable. But these humans, they didn't play by the rules. They took Council technology and modified it in ways that should have been impossible. Their ships moved in patterns that broke all known rules of space combat. They didn't just copy Council designs, they improved them. Send word to all Council ships. Marcus finally said, initiate Combat Protocol 7. We must show these humans that the Council cannot be challenged. Even as he gave the order, another report came in. A human ship had been cornered by 3 Council vessels. The Council ships had activated their energy dampening fields, a defensive measure that should have disabled any known form of propulsion. The human ship had simply switched to some kind of backup system and slipped away, leaving the Council ships floating helplessly in space. They're not just copying our technology, Tom realized. Reading the report, they're finding its weaknesses, creating countermeasures we never even thought of. Marcus felt a deep unease settling in his stomach. The Council had made a terrible mistake in dismissing humans as primitive. They had looked at the human shorter history of space travel and assumed it meant weakness. Instead, it had made them more adaptable, more innovative. Sir, Tom's voice interrupted his thoughts. What should we tell the Council? Marcus turned from the window, his face grim. Tell them. We're not dealing with primitives. We're dealing with something far more dangerous, a species that learned to survive by constantly adapting, constantly improving. He looked at the latest tactical display, showing human ships appearing and disappearing across Council space like ghosts, and tell them to prepare for war. The humans aren't afraid of us anymore. They're showing us exactly what they can do. The stars seemed to mock him, now each one potentially hiding, the human vessel watching, waiting. Why? In the Council had ruled space unopposed for 1,000 years, but now everything was about to change. Fleet Commander Allen stood on the bridge of the Earth Command Ship Thunder, watching The tactical display with steady eyes, dozens of blue dots, represented human vessels, while red markers showed the positions of Council ships. The display looked like a complex dance, with ships moving in intricate patterns across space. Status report. He called out, his voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. All ships in position, Commander, replied Officer Mike from his station. The Council fleet is responding exactly as predicted. They're following their standard combat doctrine. Alan allowed himself a small smile. The Council's rigid adherence to their traditional battle formations was their greatest weakness. 1,000 years of unchallenged supremacy had made them predictable. Signal all ships, Alan ordered. Begin operations. Scatter the human fleets. Suddenly broke apart, each ship moving in a different direction. To the Council observers, it must have looked like chaos, a complete breakdown of military discipline, but every movement was carefully planned on the Council flagship. Eternal Dawn's Supreme Commander Marcus watched in confusion as the human fleet dispersed. They're running scared, he declared. All ships moved to intercept, use standard pursuit protocols. But the humans weren't running. As soon as the Council ships began their pursuit, the human vessels started their real attack. Each ship took advantage of their modified engines, Council technology, combined with human innovations to perform maneuvers that the Council had never imagined possible. Sir Mike call out, Council ships are trying to jam our communications. Let them try, Alan replied. He knew the Council wouldn't understand why their jamming wasn't working. Each human ship carried a modified version of Earth's old radio technology, something so primitive that the Council's advanced jamming systems simply ignored it. The battle unfolded like a game of chess, but one where the humans kept changing the rules. When Council ships fired their energy weapons, human vessels would roll in ways that made their modified shields strongest at the point of impact. When Council vessels tried to form their famous ring of death formation, human ships would slit between their firing lines, turning the Council's own crossfire against them. They're starting to adapt, Mike reported, watching the tactical display. Some Council ships are breaking formation, trying to copy our movement patterns. Alan nodded. Too late. Signal phase 2 across the battlefield. Human ships suddenly activated their newest weapon, modified versions of the Council's own energy dampening fields. But these were different. The humans had discovered that by reversing the field's polarity and focusing it in pulses rather than a continuous wave, they could temporarily overload Council shield systems. The effect was immediate. Council ships began losing power, their shields flickering and failing. Not enough to destroy them, the humans were careful about that, but enough to show their superiority. Count flagship is signaling, Mike announced. They're asking for a ceasefire. Alan studied the tactical display for a long moment. The Council fleet was in disarray, their perfect formations broken, their ships struggling with failing shields, but the human fleet had been careful not to destroy any Council vessels. This wasn't about destruction, it was about sending a message. Accept their signal. Alan ordered the main screen up to show Supreme Commander Marcus. The Council leader looked shaken, his usual confidence replaced by something close to respect. Your tactics, Marcus said slowly, they're unlike anything we've ever seen. How did you develop them? Alan's response was simple. We learned from history. Earth had many nations, many wars. We learned that the side with the best technology doesn't always win. It's about adaptation, about using what you have in ways your opponent doesn't expect. He paused, letting his words sink. In your technology is impressive, Commander, but you stopped innovating. You stopped thinking of new ways to use it. Humans, we never stopped learning, never stop improving. The tactical display continued to show the scattered ships of both fleets frozen in their cosmic dance. But the pattern had changed. The Council's perfect formations were broken, while the seemingly chaotic human movements had revealed their hidden purpose. Perhaps, Marcus said quietly, it is the Council that has something to learn. Alan nodded. This battle was over, but it was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself not just equal to the Council, but capable of surpassing them. And they had done it not through brute force, but through innovation, adaptation, and the clever use of both old and new technologies. The stars watched silently as history changed course. The Council's science vessel, Light of Discovery, Drifted in space, its sensors focused on the damaged human ship floating nearby. After the recent battle, both sides had agreed to a temporary truce, and this human vessel had volunteered for inspection. The Council's best engineers were about to learn just how different human technology really was. Engineering Officer James watched with mild amusement as the Council-signed scientists boarded his ship. Their expressions, even through their environmental suits, showed clear confusion as they studied the human vessel systems. "This is impossible," one of the Council engineers said, scanning the ship's engine room. "You're using our quantum drive design, but these modifications shouldn't work. The power flow should tear itself apart." James walked over to the main engine control panel. "That's because we're not just using your power system. We combined it with an old Earth technology, fusion reactors." He pulled up a diagram showing how the two systems work together. "Your quantum drives are more powerful, but our fusion reactors are more stable, so we used both." The Council engineers gathered around the display, their devices buzzing as they took readings. They had always believed their technology was perfect, unchangeable, but humans had taken it and done something completely unexpected. They had made it better by making it less perfect. "And your shields," another engineer said, studying the defensive systems. "They're not pure energy fields like ours." "What are these physical layers?" James smiled. "Ablative armor combined with energy shields. Old Earth ships used physical armor. Council ships use energy shields. We thought, why not both?" He tapped a control showing how the two systems work together. "The physical armor disperses energy weapons, making the shields more effective." Simple, really, but it wasn't simple to the Council engineers. They had spent centuries perfecting their energy shields, making them stronger and stronger. The idea of using primitive physical armor alongside them seemed almost offensive, yet the battle had proved it worked better than pure energy shields. "Here's the really interesting part," James said, leading them to another section of the ship. "Your weapons are designed to hit energy shields, right? But our armor isn't just metal. It's a special material that absorbs energy and redirects it. The harder you hit us, the more power we can collect and reuse." One of the Council engineers dropped their scanner in shock. "You're using our weapons to power your ships." "Sometimes," James admitted, "it's not very efficient, but in a long battle, every little bit helps. We learned that from Earth's history. Use everything you have, even your enemy's strength, to your advantage." The tour continued, and with each revelation, the Council engineers' worldview shifted a little more. They saw how humans had taken Council technology and reimagined it in ways no one had considered before. Old Earth technology that the Council would have dismissed as primitive was combined with advanced alien systems to create something entirely new. "But why?" one of the engineers finally asked. "Why change designs that took us centuries to perfect?" James leaned against a wall, considering the question. "Because nothing is ever perfect. That's something humans learned a long time ago. Everything can be improved, modified, adapted. We look at technology and don't see something finished. We see something that can be made better." He walked them to the ship's bridge where screens showed the vessel's hybrid systems working together in harmony. "Your civilization had 1,000 years of peace to develop your technology. Earth had thousands of years of conflict. We had to learn to adapt, to improve, to think differently just to survive." The Council engineers looked at their own devices, then at the human ship systems. Their technology was more advanced, in many ways more refined, more elegant, but the humans had done something they had never considered. They had made technology that was adaptable rather than perfect. "We'd like to show you something else," James said, leading them to a sealed room. "This is our newest project. We took your quantum communication system and combined it with an old Earth concept called the Internet. Want to see what happens when you mix instant space communication with a system designed to survive a nuclear war?" The Council engineers followed, their curiosity now outweighing their pride. They were beginning to understand that humans weren't just copying their technology, they were revolutionizing it. And perhaps, just perhaps, the Council had something to learn from these supposedly primitive beings who saw imperfection not as a flaw, but as an opportunity for improvement. The Council's war fleet dropped out of quantum space near Earth's solar system. 500 ships, the largest fleet ever assembled in Council history, filled the void between stars. Supreme Commander Marcus stood on his bridge watching the tactical display as his ships formed their attack pattern. This would be the final battle, a show of force to put these upstart humans in their place. No signs of human ships. First Officer Tom reported, scanning the sensors. Their home system appears. Undefended Marcus frowned. This was wrong. The humans had proven themselves too clever to leave their home unprotected. Launch probe ships. Search every sector. The small probe vessels spread out their advanced sensors, scanning for any sign of human technology. They found nothing. Earth, its colonies on Mars and the Moon, and the orbital stations, all seemed to be going about their normal business, completely ignorant of the massive fleet preparing to attack them. Sir Tom's voice carried a note of worry. Could this be a trap? Before Marcus could answer, space itself seemed to tear open around his fleet. Hundreds of human ships appeared from nowhere, emerging from what looked like holes in the fabric of reality. They had somehow found a way to hide, not just from sensors, but from space itself. Operation Thunderbolt is now active. A human voice broadcast on all frequencies. It was Fleet Commander Allen. All ships execute your orders. The human vessels moved with perfect coordination. They had positioned themselves not just around the Council fleet, but between their ships inside their formation. The Council's carefully planned attack pattern had become a deadly trap for their own forces. Impossible, Marcus shouted. How did they get so close without us detecting them? The answer came from his science officers. Sir, they'd developed some kind of space folding technology. They weren't hiding their ships, they were hiding pieces of space itself. The battle erupted in all directions. Council ships found themselves surrounded, their traditional formations broken before they could even begin their attack. Human vessels seemed to appear and disappear at will, striking from impossible angles and vanishing before the Council could respond. Sir, look, Tom pointed at the tactical display. The human ships were hurting the Council fleet, pushing them into a specific pattern. But why? The answer came in a brilliant flash of light. A massive energy surge erupted from Earth's moon, which had apparently been hollow all along. The humans had turned their entire satellite into a giant power generator. Energy web activated, Allen's voice announced calmly. Thank you for falling into formation, Commander Marcus. The space around the Council fleet crackled with energy. Their ships' quantum drives began to sputter and fail as the human energy we disrupted their power systems. The mighty Council Armada, pride of their civilization, hung powerless in space. You had 1,000 years to prepare for war. Ellen's voice continued. We had 1,000 years of actually fighting wars. Did you really think we wouldn't have a plan to defend our home? Marcus stared at his tactical display in disbelief. His fleet of 500 ships had been neutralized in less than an hour, without a single vessel being destroyed. The humans had beaten them not through superior firepower, but through superior strategy and innovation. This is why we survived on Earth, Allen explained, his voice now appearing on all Council ships. Internal communications. Our world tried to kill us countless times. We survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and near-extinction events. We learned to adapt, to plan, to prepare for the worst. Your mistake wasn't attacking us. It was assuming we wouldn't be ready. The Council fleet hung suspended in the human energy web, their mighty ships now little more than expensive decorations. In space around them, human vessels maintained their positions, their hybrid technology working perfectly while the Council's pure energy systems failed. We don't want to destroy your ships, Allen continued. We don't want to kill your crews. What we want is simple recognition and respect. You tried to bully us because you thought we were primitive. We showed you otherwise. Now shall we discuss peace terms like equals? Marcus looked at his powerless fleet, at the human ships that had outmaneuvered them so completely, at the moon that his people had dismissed as a simple satellite, but the humans had turned into a weapon. He had one last card to play, his own pride. But as he looked at the stars around him, he realized that pride had been the Council's weakness all along. Open a channel, he ordered. It's time we learned what these humans can teach us. The great Council chamber had never been so quiet. Hundreds of Council members sat in their elevated seats, staring at the holographic display in the center of the room. It showed the complete defeat of their greatest fleet, played out in perfect detail. Supreme Commander Marcus stood before them waiting for the inevitable storm of criticism. How the head counselor finally asked, his voice echoing in the silent chamber. How did we misread them so badly? Marcus stepped forward, his shoulders straight despite his recent defeat. We made a fundamental mistake. We looked at their short history of space travel and saw weakness. We should have looked at their long history of survival and seen strength, a hologram change showing scenes from human history. The council members watched as images of Earth's past play before them: ice ages, wars, natural disasters, and near-extinction events. Through each crisis, humans had not just survived, but emerged stronger. While we spent 1,000 years perfecting our technology, Marcus continued, they spent thousands of years perfecting their ability to adapt and overcome. Every disaster made them more resilient. Every war made them more innovative. Every challenge made them stronger. A new figure entered the chamber, Fleet Commander Allen, invited to speak to the council directly. The human walked with confidence, but not arrogance, stopping beside Marcus. Your civilization achieved peace and stability, Allen said, addressing the council. It's an impressive achievement, but that peace had a price. You stopped evolving, you stopped adapting. He gestured to the hologram, which now showed human ships using modified council technology. When we found your tech, we didn't just copy it, we asked ourselves how it could be improved, combined, changed. The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Everything they had believed about their superiority was being challenged. Show them, Marcus said quietly. Allen nodded and activated a small device. The hologram changed again, showing Earth's defense system in detail. The council members gasped as they saw the true extent of human preparation. Their moon wasn't just a power generator, it was a fully armed fortress. Their asteroid belt wasn't just mining colonies, it was a series of hidden shipyards. Even their space debris was part of their defense, carefully positioned to hide sensors and weapons we've had to fight for. Everything, Allen explained. Our own world tried to kill us countless times. Different human nations fought each other for centuries. We learned to plan, to prepare, to expect the worst while hoping for the best. One of the council members stood up. But why offer peace now? You could destroy us. Allen smiled. Because destruction is in progress. Yes, we could fight a war. Yes, we might even win. But what would that achieve? We'd rather share knowledge, combine our strengths, learn from each other. The hologram shifted one final time, showing the defeated council fleet hanging powerless in Earth's defense grid. But instead of destroying the ships, humans were helping repair them, sharing their hybrid technology, teaching council crews how to adapt. Your technology is incredible, Allen continued. Your achievements are remarkable, but technology alone isn't enough. You need the will to improve, to change, to adapt. That's what humans can teach you. Marcus stepped forward again. I have seen these humans up close. They don't want to replace us. They don't want to destroy us. They want to help us grow beyond our own limitations. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some council members argued for continuing the fight. Others saw the wisdom in peace. But as the debate raged, more and more began to understand the truth. Humans weren't their enemies. They were the wake-up call the council had needed for centuries. We offer partnership, Allen said, his voice cutting through the noise. Not submission, not dominance, but true cooperation. We can learn from your stability and experience. You can learn from our adaptability and innovation. The head counselor stood, raising his hands for silence. He looked at the hologram one last time, at the human ships that had outmaneuvered their greatest fleet, at the defenses that had been hidden in plain sight, at the hybrid technology that had taken council perfection and made it better through imperfection. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the council to learn how to change. 1 month after the great battle, the neutral space station Unity hung in the void between Earth and council space. It was a new construction built jointly by human and council engineers. Its design reflected both cultures' council elegance combined with human practicality. The station itself was a symbol of what both species could achieve together. Inside the station's main conference room, Supreme Commander Marcus sat across from Fleet Commander Allen. Between them, a table displayed holograms of various joint projects already underway. The room's large windows showed council and human ships working together, sharing technology and knowledge. Your engineers are quite impressive, Marcus said, watching the human repair crew teaching council technicians how to maintain hybrid drive systems. They've already improved our quantum drive efficiency by 30%. Alan nodded, scrolling through project reports on his tablet. And your scientists have helped us understand space-time in ways we never imagined. Together, we're making progress that neither of us could have achieved alone. Outside the window, a new ship caught their attention. It was the first vessel built jointly by both civilizations. Sleek council design, combined with human innovation, its hull gleamed with a new type of armor that could both absorb and deflect energy, while its engines combined the best of both species' technology. Did you know this would happen? Marcus asked suddenly. When you first approached us, did you plan for this outcome? Alan smiled. We hoped for it. Humans have learned that the best victories don't come from destroying your opponents, but from turning them into allies. He gestured at the ship outside. Look at what we've achieved in just 1 month of working together. The door opened and First Officer Tom entered with several human engineers. They were carrying what looked like old Earth history books, along with council technical manuals. The archive project is proceeding well, Tom reported. We're combining council technical knowledge with human historical records. The goal is to learn from both our successes and our failures. Marcus picked up one of the books, studying it with genuine interest. Your history is fascinating. So many times you could have been destroyed by nature, by each other, by your own creations, yet each time you grew stronger. That's the key difference between us, Alan explained. The council achieved perfection, and stopped humans learn that perfection is impossible. So we never stopped trying to improve. A group of young council officers passed by the conference room's window, chatting excitedly with their human counterparts. They were part of a new exchange program, learning each other's ways of thinking. The younger generation has embraced the changes completely. Marcus observed they're already starting to think differently, to question old assumptions. Alan watched the young officers with approval. That's the real victory, not defeating your fleet, but opening both our civilizations to new possibilities. A hologram on the table changed, showing plans for future projects. There were designs for deep space exploration vessels, combining both species' technology, plans for improving transportation between Earth and Council worlds, and schemes for sharing cultural and scientific knowledge. The Council has voted to offer humanity full membership, Marcus said finally, not as subordinates, but as equals. Will you accept? Alan looked out at the stars, at the ships moving between them, at the station that represented the best of both civilizations. We will, but with one condition. We don't want seats on the old council. We want to help create a new one where all species work together, learn from each other, keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Marcus stood and walked to the window. The universe seemed bigger now, filled with more possibilities than ever before. The council had ruled space unopposed for 1,000 years, believing they had achieved perfection. Then humans had appeared, proving that perfection was not an end, but a journey. I think, Marcus said slowly, that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Outside the station, council and human ships continued their dance among the stars. The humans had arrived as apparent primitives, proved themselves as equals, and were now helping to forge a new future. And somewhere out in the vast universe, other species were waiting to be discovered, each with their own lessons to teach. The age of isolation was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it had all started with a simple warning that now seems so long ago. Enemy vessels sighted, humans approaching.